Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely to meet you, Rachel.
It's lovely meeting you too. With this movie, what's really obviously it is a heart-wrenching story of love and loss, but it's also really cool how it is framed because we're jumping through the time periods because of the journals. And so I wanted to know from a director's standpoint, how was that to kind of get to tell this story in two different time periods, but interwoven in such a way that it just flowed together so flawlessly?
Well, it was a lot of most of that was premeditated and thought through with design team, the director of photography. I would say at least two-thirds of it. I think a third of it probably came out of some organic stuff that happened during shooting that one knew one could match and marry up with a later period in the edit, and some of it came out of the edit. But the point is, it was always intended to be a film about memory and time and how those two things play with each other, and what we frequently do with memory and time in our heads, and how we treat it on a daily basis, and how each day it can change how we treat it. So I wanted the film to explore that properly. But I think in the end, you're right, it is two time frames, but for me it's three, because we can't help but look through the prism of our own time when we watch it. So we've got 2022 being in our heads as we sit and watch 23 years ago in 1999, and then way beyond that back in the 1950s. And you're able, in a way, while doing that, to compute a sort of almost a time journey piece that comes right up to the present, because you can look at societal shifts, you can look at all sorts of stuff as you're watching through the prism of your own time. So that's why I feel it's kind of also a film about now in that respect. It's a film for now because it needs to address a past that I was born into. I'm
Mhm.
sad to say. I mean, I was very young when the law changed, and I'm delighted and thrilled that we've made such incredible advances within the LGBTQ plus community over the last 40 years. But I also think we're in a moment now that is fragile again in the world, and in the America and in the UK as well. And I'd hate as ever to go back to that. So part of this film for me is about trying to create a piece that's also to put out there for debate. I want as many young people to see this film as possible, so that we can, genuinely have that debate about never wanting to go back, never wanting to be part of a period where people couldn't be who they were because the law denied them that.
Yeah, and I stand by my statement after this movie, which is no one deserves Patrick. Patrick is better than all of them. I felt so like I was like I want to protect him. Like I was watching this movie like no, I want to like go and save him because he is so in love and you can see it, but it's just like it was the time period and he couldn't express it. So I wanted to quickly know because I'm almost out of time. The last shot, that's all I really wanted out of this movie was young Harry Styles with Rupert Everett. So getting that, I was like, oh my God, I willed this. What was the thinking behind having the two timelines converge in that way and getting to see those two characters as
the
both older
the,
and
the thinking behind that, I mean, I shot quite a lot where I thought I may use it differently, but I knew I was always going to use it sparingly, and it was which shot would I always use. I think I always knew I was going to use that one, and the only other one I used in the entire film was when Marion is giving older Patrick his pills, and older Patrick looks up at her and just for a fleeting moment sees the young Marion again looking back at him, which I think is something that can, again, it's about playing with memory and time. So yes, it was always part of the overview that we would just very occasionally interact the two time frames and come together. But I'm glad what you said about Patra. I'm glad to hear it. You're right. You're absolutely right. He is true to himself. He is honest. He doesn't behave badly. He makes a few mistakes. He possibly shouldn't have turned up at the honeymoon with a bottle of champagne. But apart from that, he is somebody who is true to himself.
yeah, thank you so much. Can't wait for everyone to get to see it. I think it's a beautiful movie and I people are gonna love it.
Thank you, Rachel. It's lovely to meet you, and thank you
Thank
for that.
you.